Rajesh Pawar is joining us live from Kiev, bringing us up to speed with the very latest developments. Rajesh, what are the top developments at this hour?
See, the city of Kyiv has not witnessed any kind of air attacks now for a fourth consecutive night, fourth consecutive day. But the fighting in the east and south of Ukraine continues unabated. There have been reports of fightings near Kherson, near Kharkiv, and now near Odessa, where it is anticipated that Russians could launch an amphibious operation anytime. Let me explain what an amphibious operation is for the viewers. Amphibious operation is a military operation in which the troops, like they have Marines in America, the troops are transported through ships and they make landings on the beach or on the port near the sea, and they launch a ground offensive. So amphibious operation is expected anytime by Ukraine forces in the port city of Odessa. Over to you.
You know, you mentioned that Kiev is a little calm at the moment, but there are some other areas that are not calm. So what exactly is it going on? And what is the kind of offensive that those areas are facing? And is the Ukrainian resistance being able to hold up to the Russian offensive in those areas?
All right, let me show you around a little bit how the city of Kyiv looks like, and I'll keep explaining to you what is happening in the rest of Ukraine. So this is the Kyiv city and the center of the city. This is how it looks right now. Totally calm, a few cars around only from military personnel and all. These are the journalists, international journalists leaving the city now, and it's total calm everywhere. Only military personnel and police personnel around. As far as offensive in the east is concerned, ground operations are going on in all these cities, and now we are witnessing counterattacks by the Ukrainian forces in east of Ukraine, especially in the area of Donetsk, Mariupol, and Kherson. Besides this, airstrikes in west of Ukraine are continuing unabated. Over to you.
And you know, if you can just talk a little about what's happening with the peace talks also. You had Zelenskyy made that speech on a video conference to the British Parliament as well, where he also somewhere mentioned that he's willing to compromise on not becoming a part of the NATO as well. If you could bring our viewers up to speed with those developments too.
Look, President Zelenskyy has been making appeals to the NATO countries and the Western countries to enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine or to provide him some aircrafts, which have both these demands have been denied by the countries, and they made it very clear that Ukraine will not be admitted into NATO anytime soon. So what Mr. Zelenskyy is saying is basically what he's been forced to say. He has no choice. Even if he wants to join, he cannot join NATO. He also addressed Swiss leaders yesterday, and the reason for which I see is in the background is that almost $120 billion of Russian assets are in Swiss banks, which probably Russia is seeking now to continue this war. And it is understood that probably Mr. Zelenskyy is trying somehow to get those assets freezed. Over to you.
Absolutely. And in terms of Ukraine losing sizable territories, which ones would they be? Because this is probably one of the reasons why now Zelenskyy is willing to agree and compromise on these terms, because how long can one even go on in the face of Russian invasion?
Very true. Like in east and south of Ukraine, if you see, Russian forces are making territorial gains every day. They're advancing forward, westwards towards river Dnipro. And what my understanding is, Russian ground forces will try their best to capture as much territory as possible along the Black Sea coast and towards river Dnipro. Whereas in the west, they'll continue to do airstrikes to maintain pressure. And now, because the casualties, mounting casualties of civilians, damage to civilian infrastructure now, and the ability to sustain war by Ukrainian forces, all these factors are somehow a reason in Mr. Zelenskyy's now a softened stand towards talks and towards not joining NATO, and even to talk on other contentious issues with the Russian leaders. Over to you.
Right, Rajesh, you stay safe. We are going to keep coming back to you. He is the war reporter who's been risking his life and getting us all these reports of everything as it happens in Ukraine. Continue to be with us right there.